Alright, hello, welcome back. So in this video I'm going to talk about the IRR, which is just an acronym for internal rate of return. And this is essentially the annual rate of return that an investor in a company will earn each year as a result of the company undertaking a certain project that we're considering, right? And the IRR is essentially, it's the interest rate or the weighted average cost of capital, or the opportunity cost, that will set the net present value equal to zero. Okay, so it gives you an average annual rate of return. All right, to calculate this, I can just use the IRR function. So I'll do equal sign IRR open parentheses, and now it just needs to give all the cash flow values, and this includes the time zero value. Remember, in the NPV function, we didn't include the time zero value, right? But in this case, we are. So we need to highlight all of them, right? Comma. And then we need to provide it a guess. Because it's going to be finding this through some sort of iterative method, we need a starting point. So we can just use the interest rate, right? 0.095, close the parentheses. And we can see that this YouTuber project had a 7.673% internal rate of return. That means, if you were to do this YouTuber project, you would earn a 7.673% annual rate of return as a result of this each year. Okay. Now, just to check, just to give you, or just kind of reinforce the intuition of the IRR, let's go ahead and recalculate the net present value, but let's use the IRR instead of the interest rate, right? So I'll use that, IRR, comma, but now we're calculating the NPV again, so we can't include the see what the investors in the moving company can earn on an annual basis if they, if the company rather does undertake, buying this new van to expand the business, right? The business expansion. So we'll do equal sign IRR open parentheses. And again, we'll include all the values, including the time 01, comma, and we need a guess, so we'll use the WACC 0.083, close, and then we'll press enter, and we can see that this company, if it did buy the new van the new moving truck, excuse me, I keep saying van, if it did buy the new moving truck, its investors would earn an annual rate of return of 12.167%. Okay, and then again, you can check this by, plugging in the IRR in for a rate and recalculating the net present value, right? And you should get a 0, right? Now, example, right? Remember, notice how they had a positive net present value, which indicates they should do it, right? And notice that their IRR is greater than their weighted average cost of capital, right? That means investors are earning, as a result of the company undertaking this business expansion, investors are going to earn an annual rate of return, right, on this business expansion that exceeds their required return of 8.3%. They're going to actually earn 12.167% as a result of this business expansion instead of their required return of just 8.3%. On the other hand, let's go back to the YouTuber example. In the YouTuber example, the YouTuber has an IRR of 7.673%, okay? But that's less than their weighted average cost of capital, or the interest rate that they can earn, of 9.5%. Remember, that was on the bond fund, right? So, and we saw that this example had an NPV, a negative NPV of negative $199.85. Okay, so what you'll notice here is that in this YouTuber example, well, it would be better off if the YouTuber just put, his $5,000 into the bond fund, earning 9.5%, because if he did this YouTuber project, he would only earn an annual rate of return of 7.673%, right? So what this means is that IRR does have a relationship with NPV, okay? And in particular, if the IRR is greater than the weighted average cost of capital, then that will imply that the NPV is greater than 0, and thus we should do it. Okay. On the other hand, if the IRR is less than the weighted average cost of capital, okay, then the NPV will be less than 0, and that means we don't do it. Okay, and of course, by definition of what the IRR is, right? If the IRR equals the weighted average cost of capital, then of course that must mean the NPV is 0, and of course we would be indifferent at that point. Okay, so that's IRR, and IRR is pretty it's intuitive. It's related to NPV, and sometimes it's easier to explain maybe to potential investors rather than NPV. NPV is can be kind of cumbersome, but IRR usually, if they're just comparing two rates of return, that's usually an easier way to do IRR. All right, so that'll do it for this video. Have a good one. Bye. You'll hear from me again.